All right, welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader with that midweek market update. It is Wednesday, June 9th. And before we get started, I would like to remind you this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. All right, going to get this thing kicked off. If you are in the chat, just let me know everything is coming through loud and clear. Looks good on my end. Quite a bit to talk about today. I'm going to try to keep this one relatively quick, around the 2 hour mark. But like always, we'll see how that works. So let's just jump right in with the 10-year treasury. So we finally got that pushback down that we were expecting, back down to that fib level. Just a retest. Obviously, this one got bought up pretty aggressively, but this time we've just been kind of rolling over. I do expect us to find support here, at least temporarily. More than likely, I think it will hold, but might not necessarily. More importantly, though, we want to see that next fib level, the 1.14 hold. But again, I do think this is going to hold here. Nothing has really changed in these markets. We're basically just going sideways while the indicator oscillators reset. So overall, that is bullish. If you'd like to see a more long-term detailed breakdown, check out the last stream as we went into extreme detail on the 10-year treasury and what I expect. Now switching over here to the DXY. We've got the DXY dollar index. Once again, if you want a more detailed look, check out the last video as we go back quite far on this and extreme detail on it. Very similar situation. We are basically just chopping sideways here. We did take out that previous push down here, and we are essentially just hanging out a little higher than that initial low from back in January. Overall, it looks like it's getting ready to make a move to the upside. Where that takes us, though, unsure at this time. The histogram has crossed over on the daily. We still have a red slope line. We did get the hard buy coming out of the bearish control zone. But more importantly than the daily, just kind of zooming out here, and we can turn off our drawing tools. This is more important, in my opinion. We're basically looking at a low back here, December, January low, basically. And then we're at that same low right now. And then if we look at our indicator oscillators, obviously we have a low way back here in August that took a ton of energy to get down to on both of our indicators. And then here we have that second low, much lower, obviously, but indicator oscillator wise, slightly higher. So it took us less energy, basically, to get down to the same low or lower. And then here we have this third point now. And this third point here, we have basically the same low once again. And once again, we have a substantially higher low on our indicator oscillator. This is obviously rolling over now. So we have a low here. We have a slightly higher low here. And then, depending on what happens with this one, we could easily just continue to sell off and invalidate this divergence. But what I'm seeing right now is triple bullish divergence on the weekly, on the dollar. And, obviously we saw what happened when we had triple bearish divergence on crypto and Bitcoin. We proceeded to have a massive dump afterwards, 50%. So, I'm not saying the dollar is just going to move up to like, 100 whatever, 45 or anything like that, 135. But, I would expect a powerful move if this divergence does in fact play out. So, and then just switching over one more time, a little longer of a time frame here. This is our monthly chart. And you will see that, there's a bunch of different times here. But if we just go back to 2008, you'll see coming out of the bearish divergence here. Coming out of the bearish control zone here. Once we got the hard buy signal, we went parabolic immediately afterwards. Here, once again, coming out of the bearish control zone, started to go parabolic, consolidated, and then full on parabola to a new high, on the micro. And then once again here in 2018, April, same thing. Bearish control zone, hard buy signal, and then we retested those highs again, and now here we are one more time in the bearish control zone on the monthly. So while everyone is calling for a breakdown, calling for the dollar to go to zero, and Fed coin comes out tomorrow, I just think, you can make up whatever scenario you want. You can talk about this and that. You can believe mainstream media. You can believe whoever you want, but according to the chart, those people are all wrong, and I'm right. So we'll see what happens. But, can't see the future, but I can read a chart, and charts read just like books. And once you've read a book enough times, you can pretty much guess how it ends. So that's what I'm expecting. The chart is agreeing with me. We'll see if the rest of the world is soon agreeing with us also. You know, if you've been following the channel for any amount of time, you know, typically I talk about something, everybody else talks about the opposite, and then a couple months later, everybody else is, you know, on the train with Crypto Trend Trader. But typically by then, the majority of the move has already happened. So we'll see how it plays out. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, I'll admit it, because it is what it is. I'm definitely wrong sometimes. But more often than not, the charts do not lie. S&P. Okay, so just a broad overlook on the markets today. Obviously, crypto had a nice reflex rally off of essentially like a double bottom. Looks strong. You know, Bitcoin obviously much stronger than all the altcoins. I think that's starting to show something. People are starting to lose faith in like all the shit coins, all the altcoins. But Bitcoin is finally showing a little bit of strength. We'll get into like the Bitcoin dominance and everything. Overall, though, the general markets, a lot of weakness today. I don't like what I'm seeing specifically in like traditional markets right now. You know, it's still a little early to tell. Again, I'm not trying to just come out and start calling the top here on everything, but it doesn't look great in my opinion. We have talked about divergence quite a bit, and divergence is one of the most reliable signals. You'll see here on, I'm on the S&P SPY right now. We have a very high here, you know, 98 basically. Like there's nobody left to buy at this point in time on the stochastics. They're already maxed out. So, you know, there's only really one direction you can go from there, you know, down or sideways potentially. But here we are maxing out again at a much lower high here, you know, potentially topping out at like 90 right now. And you'll see the knife is already like starting to stab down pretty aggressively. It's still green, but this around the area where you'd see it flip over. And here we are basically at a new high. So, you know, once again, we're now seeing bearish divergence taking place. And, you know, the importance of divergence is basically, you know, convergence tells you that everything is lining up and everyone agrees. Divergence tells you that, you know, one thing is saying, you know, price action is saying we're higher. Meanwhile, like the indicators or oscillators are saying we are not higher. Therefore, you have a divergence between, you know, price action and the indicators or oscillators, depending what you're using. And what that tells you is something's not quite right. And when something's not right, it can go on for a little while, but it's not sustainable in the long run. So that's the importance of divergence. There's bunches of different kinds of bullish and bearish divergence, hidden, etc., etc. None of that is really important. I mean, you can get into like the semantics of specific types of divergence and whatnot. The most important thing is to pay attention to the divergence, because that essentially just tells you that, you know, the trend is typically unsustainable. And usually what you'll see is like two drives of bearish divergence or bullish divergence somewhat rally, and then you'll see like a third drive, and then after the third drive is when you typically see like a violent move, you know, counter to the overall trend. So if you see a bunch of bearish divergence, you know, you drop 50% like crypto did. If you see a bunch of bullish divergence, you see the dollar all of a sudden like skyrocket. We'll see again if that happens. If I'm wrong, I will be wrong, you know, and the whole rest of the world will be right. But if there's one thing I know, you know, typically when everybody is on one side of a trade, the other side of the trade is typically the one that works out, because not everybody can be a winner. You know, I know everybody wants a trophy, everybody wants to be a winner, but in reality, it's just not possible. You can't, everybody can't get a gold medal. You know, only the winners get the gold medals. Everybody else gets shit. So S&P, you know, potentially looks like it could be topping out here. Again, we'll have to see though, you know, but we are seeing some very clear signs of bearish divergence potentially developing here. But again, typically what you would see is a sell-off, a move back up to a new high, and then the divergence plays out. And, you know, part of the whole idea behind divergence is often this is like distribution or accumulation taking place. And typically, you know, it's like that last shakeout. So you push the price to one last high, you know, that little throw over high, and then you shake everybody out of their short positions, and then all of a sudden you dump it, and then you can use that momentum, you know, of the downside potential to make all the people that were short that just got like stopped out at all-time highs or whatever, all of a sudden they have to sell back into the market again, reopen their short positions so they can get in the trade again, and then that momentum fuels the move back to the downside. So same thing with bullish divergence, you know, just in the opposite direction. But the key is you know, I see everybody now after the fact, after it's already taken place, after crypto sold off 50%, after there was a massive dump, after people got completely liquidated, anyone that was using 2x leverage or more in the wrong direction, Now everyone's talking about Wyckoff distribution and all this stuff. That's great. Wyckoff distribution is literally like often in line with bearish divergence in the same way that Wyckoff accumulation is in line with, you know, bullish divergence. It's all part of the thing. I mean, it's great that everybody sees it now, but there's no, you can't make any money hindsight trading, sharing charts after they take place, telling everybody how this is something after it's happened. The key is to identify these things ahead of time, and that's why it's so important not only to see what the chart is telling you, but also what could potentially happen if you're wrong and what's going to validate that. So that's why it's so important what I do on this channel, and what I try to help everybody else learn how to do is, you know, check out both possible scenarios and then what could potentially invalidate you know, the scenario that you have a favor towards. So if I'm like favoring a move to the upside, what move to the downside has to happen to invalidate that move to the upside, so I can immediately say, okay, I was wrong. I'm going to get in the direction of the trade. I'm going to admit that I was wrong. I'm not going to be stubborn and just lose 50% of my money because Bitcoin is gold 2.0. Dow Jones is next here. Dow Jones, you know, did not make a new all-time high right here, just at the same all-time highs. You know, at this point in time, you know, there's, you know, we're basically just, we're just making a sideways channel. You know, we have a very clear defined bottom here. You know, we poked out the bottom once. We had a little wick out the bottom that got bought up aggressively. Again, we have a rejection off the top here. Typically, like, that's a topping pattern. We'll see it right here again. Does not need to be a macro top, but typically followed by a sell-off. Typically followed by a sell-off. So we'll pay attention right here and see what happens. But, you know, at this point in time, we're basically just range bound. So, you know, I would expect us to just go sideways here. But again, we're seeing, once again, divergence taking place. We have a very clear high right here, you know, high right here, a lower high right here, lower high right here, a very clear higher high right here. And then here we have a third lower high on our indicator oscillators. We're seeing a little bit of divergence, you know, between those 2 points on the Stokes. But now here we have the same high here once again. So again, we're looking at bearish divergence at the top of a parabolic uptrend, and what could amount to essentially like a massive throw over followed by like capitulation move. Now again, we gotta wait for that to play out. This thing's not going to go down 90% overnight. That's one of the beautiful things about the stock market is, you know, there are circuit breakers in place, so there can only ever be so much upside or downside, you know, in a single day. So you always have time to play, and then you can take the weekends off to reevaluate. But, you know, definitely in the danger zone. It's unsustainable what's taking place right now, but it can always go along. It can always keep going longer than you would expect it to, or longer than you can like stay, you know, liquid in these markets. IXIC, NASDAQ, you know, we talked about this specifically. Essentially what's happening is we have a giant ascending triangle. You know, there's definitely potential we come back up here and tag the top of the triangle again. This is typically a bullish pattern that NASDAQ has been consolidating and selling off like much more aggressively and for much longer than most other markets. You know, and it also outperformed throughout the entire bull market. So we'll have to see what happens here. You know, once again, we're not going to see the same type of divergence developing on this as we are on the other ones, because this has not been making new highs. So, you know, but, you know, we can equally pay attention to divergence on the downside as well for like some kind of bullish divergence developing. In this case, we don't have any, but it is a very powerful signal and something I personally always like to trade off of. And I give it quite a decent weight, especially when it's in line with everything else. So Russell actually showed a bunch of strength more recently. Again, I'm not bullish at all on the Russell, like long term, but it did just have a nice little pop to the upside aggressively over the last, like, you know, few weeks, couple weeks. But basically, it looked like we were essentially forming this pattern a while back here. We broke down from the pattern. We were able to basically come back up, retest it, get rejected, and then we have now reclaimed it, and then we got exactly back up to the top and started selling off. So, you know, we'll have to see what happens here. Do we break back down from the channel? Do we break up from the pattern rather? I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see, honestly. I mean, I think right now people are looking for places to put their money and not seeing a lot of good options, including myself. I'm not seeing a ton of great places to put my money for more of a long term. There's definitely some scalps to be had, but I'm not finding a bunch of great places that I'm like in a rush to put money into that I didn't already like just put money into in the last few weeks. So maybe I will have to put a little more into some of like some of our trades that we've done recently, but I typically try to diversify like from week to week so that I can keep my portfolio balanced, like without having to do a ton of rebalancing. So if I just pour all into like one sector, I have to do a bunch more rebalancing. And again, this is much less of a factor except for like looking at like the timetable where we're at right now. I typically will rebalance my portfolio like quarterly, and then obviously like a little more substantially on the half of the year, and annually, I pay a little more attention, make sure everything's a little more in line. I have a little more leeway like quarterly. But we're coming up on basically like the midpoint of the year now. So we have, essentially what do we have? 3 weeks left? 3 weeks left. And then we're at the halfway point of 2021, which is absolutely crazy. This year has flown by. But, it's been a great year. It's been a great couple of years considering everything. Financially, it's been a great couple of years. Obviously not with everything else going on, as we have basically like, lots of people have suffered through this, and we've managed to give up a lot of our rights, and the world is not necessarily headed in a great direction. But I like to think that it's all cyclical, just like the markets. Everything's cyclical. In order for there to be good times, there have to be bad times. In order to appreciate the good times, you got to suffer through the bad times. And the truth is, not everybody makes it through, which is very unfortunate. But only the strong survive. In the markets, in life, etc. So ICLN, still seeing nothing on this. We basically have been selling off. This purple line has been our resistance. We have now this red line, which is very clear resistance. We got rejected and slammed back down below it again. We're losing strength, getting a hard sell. We do have the slope line in our favor here, but I'm not seeing any strength come out of this thing. It looks like we're probably going to get one of our lower targets before long here. But again, we'll see what happens. XLE energy sector. This is probably one of the stronger sectors and something I would be more interested in. But I typically look for value. I don't like buying things when they're up high, like at elevated levels. And we already got that first trade setup played out, took profits along the way, and now we have our second trade setup. Basically playing out here. I guess we could add to this position. With hopes that we do get our target up here at like $74. Maybe that's something I'll be looking at later in the week. But I really would rather see like a pullback back to the support level. See the support hold at like $50 and then take another position. We sort of like front ran the, potential entry point on this last little dump. So you could say that we're a little more bullish. But honestly, I'm just not really rushing in. We'll have to see, if I'm like desperate to figure out somewhere to deploy capital, then maybe that changes. But I don't think that's likely to happen. I obviously trade and invest more conservatively. So, but we do have positive momentum in our favor. We did get the buy signal coming out of like the neutral zone. We're in the bullish control zone now. So I think more likely than not, we see continuation, but we are about to bump our head on a key Fibonacci level resistance here as well. So again, we'll see how it plays out. I'll obviously keep you guys up to date. XLI, industrial sector. This looks like it's topping out, just like we were discussing in the last video. Once again, we're seeing some clear bearish divergence. We have a top here. We have a lower high here. We have a top here. We have a lower high here. And then we have the same high here on price action. And then when we take a look at Caterpillar and John Deere, you'll see that they're literally doing exactly what we spoke about, breaking down from those patterns right now. So XLF, financial sector, again, showing a little bit of weakness. Showing some very clear bearish divergence taking place. I'm not going to just go into detail on every single thing that's showing bearish divergence, but there's a lot of it. And, not everything has to sell off bearishly. Maybe a bunch of things, the divergence plays out and the money consolidates or concentrates into a couple specific things and they shoot to the upside and invalidate the divergence. That's 100% a possibility, as people like me are always looking to deploy capital somewhere. So they'll look for something that's strong and, move that way. So that's definitely a possibility. So XLU, utilities. This thing looks like it's attempted multiple times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this was like the 5th time, basically, unless you count that as just one right here. It has tried and tried and tried to break out here. It has been unable to so far. And now here we are closed again outside the pattern. I think more likely than not, after. This is a specific example of something I always talk about when we're in a channel like this. It could be a sideways channel, it could be a down sloping channel, it could be an ascending channel, does not matter. Typically you'll go from the top to the bottom, to the top, to the bottom, to the top, to the bottom, to the top. And then before you get that break, what will happen often, you will come down to the midpoint, find support, and then you will retest the top, and then you'll see that break. That's exactly what's happening now. We did get a fake out right here though. Came basically to the top, to the bottom, back almost to the top, came down to the heart line here, and then broke and failed to get out. But now here we are once again doing the same thing from only that midline. So what is that telling me? It's telling me this thing is stronger. It's consolidating and it's gaining some strength. So people are gaining confidence in it because it's not able to get back down to the bottom of the channel. The bears are basically losing control on this consolidation. Typically when that happens, you'll get that breakout and follow through. Now, again, we could easily break out and then basically like triple top right here and then sell back off and break through the pattern. Whatever, we'll have to wait and see how that happens. We're about to get the cross right here. You know, we have multiple green histograms in a row, very clear red slope line on the TJD, TDMACD. We're at the top of the range right now, so there's room to run to the upside. We're below the zero line, which is always good. You know, right here, we're about like the 40, that's neutral territory. So I think more likely than not, we're going to end up seeing like the buy, sell, buy signal, and then this breaks out. So this one obviously is showing a little more strength than pretty much anything we've looked at. So, you know, typically though, what you'll see is we'll break out, come back down, you know, retest the breakout point, and then we can see continuation. So I guess utilities are definitely one of the stronger looking ones. This is such a tight range. There's really not a ton to go here. But if we set like a 2% stop loss, if it breaks down below the heart line, that still gives us like almost 4% to the upside for our measure move. So basically gives us like 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. I have it at like 1.83 and 3.66. So definitely some potential here. You know, I had kind of thrown this in here a while ago, I guess, as a you know, potential area we'd break through or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that looks good. I think utility so far probably looks better than most. Definitely looks better than most. US oil, top of the range, you know, still 50% of all-time highs, very clearly in the bullish control zone. Bunch of green histograms in a row, but we are showing a little bit of weakness here. I would rather buy a retest of the breakout. This is a very clear resistance that we broke through here. You know, we very clearly broke through a strong resistance here after a, you know, triple tap on the top. Bop, bop, bop. Broke through. I would love to see this come back down, get the retest on US oil, and then enter a position from there. So, you know, rather than trying to buy the breakout and then potentially, you know, it fails or it's a throw over, I will buy the retest if it holds, you know, and then end up basically in a position after confirmation, the confirmation being that what was previously resistance is now support. You know, and this thing can really run. This is a, you know, oil is the type of thing where you end up in a nice position on this and, you know, it turns into like a long-term trade. So I'm not going to get into a bunch of targets at this point in time, but just for a little, just for simplicity's sake, so we have a target, we can just go from our top right here to our pullback down here. So from our top to our bottom, and we can get a little target here. And obviously I eyeballed it almost perfectly. That's our 1.618. So we got 3% to the downside. You know, if we break and that does not hold, we got 13.75 to the upside. It's like about 5-to-1, 4.6-to-1 risk reward. So definitely some potential for, you know, entry on oil here. But again, I'm not looking to just like rush straight into it. I would rather see it come back down and, you know, see does that support hold. So let's do, we want to do this. Let's do tech here. DXY we did. Tesla, man, this, you know, this, it looks weak. I was really hoping to see a little more strength coming out of here. You know, it's not too late yet, but basically, you know, we're consolidating inside of what is turning out to be like this little flag pattern. You know, typically what happens with the flag pattern, you test it a few times and then you break in the direction of the predominant trend. So if this flag breaks here, I think we're probably going to get down to the 236 and the 618 in white here, which is obviously the bottom level of our target that we've hit quite a few times. This is obviously a very clear descending triangle, bearish pattern, and it's looking more and more. I mean, it's obviously rolling over here. It looks like we're potentially going to get rejected on the blue slope line. And, you know, this is going to end up to the downside. You know, if it looks like it's going to get continuation to the downside. If it looks like it's going to break down, I may end up exiting this position. I honestly thought that we were going to see a little more strength coming out of this. We'll see how we look over the next couple of days, though. Maybe they'll find a way to like prop these markets up and get everybody bullish again. We're seeing a double rejection on Pinterest. You know, this very clear rejection up here led to quite a bit of follow through. And now here you have basically, you know, 2 rejection candles after we broke out of like this range right here. Again, I would still like to see Pinterest get up here at least to like $76 and close this big boy gap that we left. Does it have to happen though? No, not at all. It looks like basically we've broken down from the bullish control zone, about to get to cross to the downside. Bunch of green histograms in a row, still above the slope line. There's definitely room to run, definitely room for this bad boy to go, but is it going to happen? I really don't know right now. We'll have to wait and see. Again, you know, there's not a lot of strength in these markets. We did reclaim the 200 exponential and simple moving averages, which is good, but now we're getting just absolutely crushed by the 50, 55, and the 89. It's going to be tough to get through those, but if we do get through them, you know, there's definitely that potential for at least the trade to play out if we don't just break out of the range. So tech in particular does not look particularly well, particular. PayPal on the daily, you know, we're basically at the potential entry level. You know, we broke through this key level, the 0.5 right here. Seeing a rejection. Is this just going to be basically, you know, a high, a lower high, or series of lower highs, and then just a third lower high followed by rejection? It's definitely possible. We have kind of broken through this resistance here and potentially could see this play out. But again, this is still a very bearish pattern. Descending triangle at potentially what was like the top of the range. You know, losing strength here, still decent here. You know, again, most of these look the same. So eBay basically got that breakout, looks good. If we switch over to the weekly, you know, I do like that we got the basically close at the top of the range, and now we have this week's candle. But to tell you the truth, I would rather wait 2 days and see what happens. Does this area hold, or does it just break down? Because if it breaks down, what's it going to look like? It's just going to be a wick at the top of the range and then a red candle, and that's going to look like a very clear rejection. And like the last time we made it to the top of the range right here and got that hard buy signal, what happened? We just got rejected right after that and came back down to the bottom of the range. Here we are getting the hard buy again, top of the range. Looks like a breakout. Has it confirmed yet on the weekly? No. Could we very clearly see 1, 2, 3 drives of bearish divergence, you know, rejection up here? I mean, we very clearly could. So I would rather just wait a couple days and, you know, see how this plays out. But overall, looks good. Looks like a good breakout on shorter terms, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, I don't want to just, I'm not a breakout trader. Breakouts are literally like the worst performing like trades you can enter. So, I mean, you can make money on a breakout, but more often than not, they fail. I would rather buy the retest. Etsy, you know, it's coming out of the bottom bearish control zone, getting a hard buy. Looks decent, but gotten almost no follow through. Looks like it's having a real trouble getting through this heart line here. Are we just going to come up here and close this gap? I mean, I would like to think so, but maybe not. We got all green histograms in a row. Blue slope line flipped. Hard buy coming out of the bearish control zone. It was looking strong, but now it looks like we're about to lose the Stochs at like the mid zone, at the heart line. So we're basically getting rejected from like the neutral zone. So, I mean, we could very clearly, like very easily just roll over and this thing just stays in. The most important thing to me is we got 2 touches on the bottom of this channel, 2 touches on the top of the channel, clear interactions with the heart line here multiple times. So in my opinion, more likely than not, this just continues to bounce around inside the channel and the channel is down. So, you know, I'm not looking for like long trades in something that is consistently going down. So speaking of consistently going down, crypto. Zoom, there's a very clear channel once again. You know, we're very clearly just oscillating inside the channel. The trade has almost played out to the upside. We're almost done. We've almost hit our first target. We may actually, if it takes too long, fall slightly short. But you guys know I'm a conservative trader. I will almost always take profits slightly before my target is hit. That way I don't just end up giving back all my potential gains and ending up neutral or in a loss. Hard sell signal coming out of the bullish control zone. Starting to see a couple red histograms showing up here. A little bit of weakness towards the top of the range. Potentially could still see at least the first target play out, but you guys know how I feel about a range. When you're range bound like this, We have been range bound in this channel since mid-October last year. So, you know, what, like 9 months almost, 8 months. So what's more than likely to happen for the next month or whatever? We're probably just going to stay inside that range. So you only get one break typically, like one confirmed break. And when you do, that's typically going to get follow through. So if you're just inside of a range, more than likely, you're going to stay inside that range. Baidu, I'm not loving the price action on this. I told you we were taking a stab at it. We're getting the hard sell now. We have obviously broken down from our support level here. I still look at this as a value trade. It's not quite as juicy as Alibaba was looking, but, we're at a very key support level. We have, if we just kind of zoom back on the chart, there's a bunch of price action like resistance, 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 broke through it, came back, found a little bit of support, resistance. So here, when we broke through that resistance, we shot up massively. So, here we are back down at that, resistance, which has potentially flipped to support. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not just going to hold on to this thing for dear life. I'm not just going to hodl it down to zero. If it starts showing weakness or whatever, I will just get back out, wait for a better time. But overall, I'm not overly bearish on it yet or anything. I'm not hating it. I think it was still a good entry, worth a shot. Alibaba, similar chart. This one looks a little stronger. It's basically broken down to a key level. We do have this like long trending green support line, which we have broken down from, but we had a couple little stabs down from it previously, and after that got like tons of follow through to the upside. So I'm not giving up on it yet. I like this entry point down here. Obviously, it was my target from way back up here. It also lines up with the one of like our macro 5-wave structure. So again, while I'm not loving what's taking place right now, what happened to my trade setup? Oh, it's way over here. It's way off in the rip. While I'm not loving what's happening now, we're basically at my entry. And the thing about beautiful risk reward, when you can take, when you can take entries on something that are 5-to-1, you can be wrong 5 times in a row and, still break even. And I'm almost never wrong 5 times in a row. So, there is still some danger on this. Maybe the trade setup gets invalidated, but if it does, we're basically invalidating a massive 5-wave structure. So, we'll have to see how it plays out. I still like this trade for now, but I'm not like adding to it or anything or like patting myself on the back, at flat. Neo was showing quite a bit of strength. Didn't quite make it up to the top of the range here. This was one that kind of got away from us. I missed this entry literally by like $1. It happens for sure. But, this obviously would have been a nice trade to be in. But it looks like it's basically potentially getting rejected up here at the top of the range. We could very easily see follow through. But again, if something gets away from me, I don't chase it. I just wait for the next trade setup. I'm not greedy like that. And again, you guys know I'm conservative. But, it's, you don't have to get rich off every single trade. Not every trade has to be like an all or nothing. Apple still operating inside of this descending triangle. This has been extremely weak, obviously, since our topping out pattern right here. Once we got the measure move, I've been out of this. I still have not found value to where I'm looking to re-enter. It's showing a little bit of strength. If this crosses back over to look a little better, but honestly, I got to see some kind of like breakout and continuation on this. It doesn't help that like everyone is extremely bearish on Apple right now. So Bumble still in this trade. We expected a pullback down here to like this level, closer to like 42.60. Didn't quite get down that low and found some support. Looks decent. Hopefully we come back up here, take out this high, at least get up here and, retest the breakdown. I do like the blue slope line has flipped over. I do like the exit of the bearish control zone, the hard buy signal, bunch of green histogram still. Still looks good in my opinion. I would expect after like a nice little breakout like this, a retest, and then, find support and continuation. We'll have to wait and see though, obviously not counting my chickens yet. ARK, ARKK, still looks bad. All the ARKs look bad, in various levels of shitty. This is obviously in a downward. You can't even really argue that this is the pattern just because we only really have like one touch on the bottom here. We have like 3 at the top and then a breakout. But since we broke out, we've got like no continuation. If we do, I would expect a nice pushback up here to at least try to like close this gap at the 786. So like maybe like, 14, whatever. This has been extremely underperforming. I mean, it overperformed forever, and then everybody piled in, and now it's just been underperforming since. So if we get this breakout move here, it's going to be a nice setup. But, we'll have to wait. I got to see this find support and then start to get a little volume, and then maybe I'll take an entry on this. AMC and GME, I'm not going to get into detail on this. Looks like shit. AMC looks like shit. GME looks like shit. Rejection candles. We basically got literally our breakout move. We hit our target perfectly with that wick, and now we're getting rejected. We've got the sell by. I would imagine the next thing we're about to see. Let's see it in the chat. What's our divergence signal? What's the number one most reliable signal on the crypto trend trader trading plan? It's that sell by sell divergence signal. If we do not see continuation to the upside, we are very soon going to be exiting the bullish control zone, and we're going to see another sell. That is our divergence signal. After that, I would expect this thing to dump back down, at least retest the breakout range at like 150. But I mean, just to retest the breakout at this point in time is a 50% dump. So liquidations left and right. Yeah, definitely. So, all right, I'm going to take a quick break, grab a drink, and I will jump back in chat, and then we will go to crypto and commodities. And like I said, I'm going to keep it relatively short today. Probably about 2 hours. We're about 36 minutes in right now. So say what's up in the chat, and I will greet you guys when I come back. What's going on, Manny? Good to see you, my man. New pathway. How you doing, brother? Surrender. Sean CZ says, waddah. What up, Sean? Surrender again. Popcorn in the chat. Bubblies. What's up, brother? Our Kits, my man. Good evening to you. Good to see you guys. Appreciate everybody saying what's up. Good to see everybody back like always. Nice. And just a quick note before we get into, actually, let's do crypto and then we'll do commodities. Quick note before we get into anything. It's not like a million people or anything crazy, but the last stream we did on Sunday, was probably one of my longer streams, but had the most concurrent viewers by quite a bit. So appreciate everybody that tuned in for that one, and all the interaction and positive vibes and everything. Oh, also too, quite a few people have been reaching out to me about the group. If you have not heard already, I'm assuming most of you guys have. Shoot me an email. You can get my information on the Crypto Trend Trader page. If you just go over to like the about and click on it and enter like your little capacha to validate that you are an actual human being and not a robot, it will give you my email. Shoot me an email. Let me know you're interested in being in the group. I'm going to start opening the group back up. It's going to open up on the at the beginning of the month, beginning of the half, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, just let me know. And I'm just getting everything together. And if you've already sent me a message and I haven't responded yet, I'm just doing them in groups. So I've been like I responded to a few at a time, and then I flagged like the next few that came in, and I will respond to all you guys. And then the next group I'll do the same thing with. I promise you I got your message and I flagged it. I just haven't got back to messaging everyone back and reading all the emails and everything. But I do appreciate everybody telling me a little bit about themselves, about their experience, what their goals are, all that kind of stuff helps me. If I already know you, you're previously in the group, obviously you can keep it a little shorter or whatever. That's totally fine. It just helps me to kind of get an idea of like, do you have realistic expectations, or are you just looking to like get signals? Because that's not really what the group is, even though obviously I do post my trade setups and everything. Yeah, Bubblies. I did get your email, my man. I did. Um, and again, I'm sure I did. I don't actually know which one it is because I don't think it said from Bubblies. But I'm pretty sure maybe you specified. I don't know. Again, I got quite a few of them that I need to reply to. So I will get on that this week. I've been extremely busy and I'm going away for a couple days over the weekend. So I've been trying to like wrap up a bunch of loose ends in real life before I take myself a little vacation. Yeah, buddy. But I will be back for Sunday stream. So don't worry about that. All right, so Bitcoin, let's get started with Bitcoin futures chart. So looking at the CME, the old forgotten chart, the one that people only look at after they're like reminded, they forget about it for like 6 months at a time. And then after your boy posts some important video and it plays out perfectly, like for instance, the 821 cross that never happened the entire bull run. Now all of a sudden everybody, including copycat zombie or crypto zombie, starts talking about the CME futures chart again. Wow, look, CME futures, da 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 da. Bunch of freaking copycat idiots. We broke down from the 200 exponential. We found support beautifully with a wick here and with a candle body here at the 200 simple. Very nice looking. You can see it's a little tougher to tell on the TJD TDMACD, but if you're using like a standard MACD, this one is more the beauty of the Trader's Dynamic MACD, and my version of it is it's designed to measure momentum and give you less false signals, but it does not always identify divergence as clearly as a traditional MACD. So what you have to look for on this is when you see a bunch of red like this and then a couple greens and then you see another stab of red, that is where you would potentially look for divergence between the red points and then again a bunch of green and then a red. So you look at, let me make this bigger, you look at this low right here and then this is a higher low right here and then this is a higher low right here. It's not as important right now while we're looking at the CME futures chart, but when we get to the actual Bitcoin chart, you will see much more clearly the divergence that took place and why I entered a scalp position down here. So, but again, we'll get to that in a minute. Still extremely bearish, but we're getting the move that we were talking about. It's so funny. Everybody is so bullish. We dump horribly. And then after we're finding support on a key moving average like the 200, everybody gets so bearish. And then everybody's like, we're going to 20,000. This is it. Da, da, da. And now here we are bouncing. And now everybody's bullish again after like the 12% bounce takes place. Everybody, it's like playing a video game with a lag. Like it blows my freaking mind how everybody is always like so far behind the move. We are still expecting 100% the move back up here. 100% expecting does not mean 100% it has to happen. This is the weekly futures chart. I'm still expecting us to come back up and attempt to invalidate the cross on the weekly 821. That is at 43,000. We could very easily get up to like 50,000. I think more realistically, it would probably be like 47,000. But we could easily see a wick stab like way up here. I mean, we could see a wick up to like freaking 58,000. Again, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's possible. But I expect a rejection. But I do expect a rejection off of this cross, the 821 cross. It's going to be very difficult to get back above that again, but it does not mean that we can't. But you'll see here previously when we got that cross, we got all the way up to it, closed at the 821, and then we burst through it and closed above it. And then we were able to avert the cross. This was back here at like the 10,000 after that capitulation dump here. And then we never crossed back down below it again. So this is why I say we're in a bear market very clearly, because what I determine on a weekly is 821 cross on the weekly determines if we're in a bull market or a bear market. So, here, technically we entered a bear market and we were only inside that bear market for like, 2 months. But immediately after it happened, we dumped like 50%. So there's a reason that I use that, And here, obviously, we were very cautious of the situation taking place and called out the dump was about to happen because of our divergence signal, the sell by sell. But we still have all red histograms in a row. Do I expect after a massive sell-off of over 50%, us to see like a 10, 20, 30, even 50% bounce? For sure, definitely. We're not just going to go straight down 99% and then, game over comes across the stream and screen and your account's closed out. It doesn't work like that. The market breathes in, breathes out, hits support and bounces, hits resistance and bounces, hits support and bounces, hits resistance and bounces. It's like a heartbeat. It's like breathe in, breathe out. It doesn't just happen all at once in one direction. So that's why it's so important to be ahead of it and know what's going to happen so you can take those little scalps along the way. Obviously, it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. Please do your own research. Trade responsibly. I do think that we're going to get back up here, though, to like 47,000. It's obviously, I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen over the weekend. I don't know if it's going to happen tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. But, at this point in time, we have found support multiple times on the 200 simple moving average. We're back above the 200 exponential moving average. We closed above it today. We've got our daily close now above it. We have regained a key support level. Let's actually switch over to our regular chart here, and we can kind of pay attention to what happened. So this is okay, so now we're back on, we can talk about that bullish divergence here first, and then we'll talk about the pattern and the breakdown. So this is what I was talking about. We have a bunch of red histograms in a row, and then it flips to green here. That corresponds with basically our low right here. And then we have a bunch of greens in a row, a couple reds, and then that peaks again, and then we go back to greens, and again that corresponds with this low right here. So we have a low, we have a lower low, we have a low, we have a higher low, and then again we have a third point right here, which corresponds with two reds and then the green. So now we have a low, we have a higher low, we have a higher low. That's three drives of bullish divergence. We have a low, we have a lower low, we have a third lower low. That's three drives of bullish divergence. Therefore, what do we expect to happen? A reaction rally to the upside. Everybody else is very bearish after we broke down from this pattern right here, this descending triangle or potentially neutral flag triangle. I would have liked to have seen us hit the target down here at 28,500. But again, this is a very clear rejection of lower prices, which is good. Obviously the bulls stepped in, bought this dip up, and now we're seeing that bullish divergence play out. It was obviously a nice trade. It was like 10%. What was it? I'm pretty sure it was 10%, but even if you took it on the daily rejection of lower prices, it was 12%. So it's not like you had to buy the absolute bottom of the wick to the penny in order to get in this trade. It was very easy trade too, because it was a stop and reverse at the 4 hour. This happens so often. Nobody ever notices it or pays attention to it. It's really big. Happens all the time. Typically you will see at exactly like a daily close or a 4 hour close. Like, so if you're looking at a market that closed at 8 p.m., you will often see a reversal at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. Or maybe you will see it at noon or midnight, or maybe you will see it at 4 a.m. or 4 p.m. But often you will see that transition takes place, at that daily close. So we got the daily close down here at 8 p.m. And then from that daily close, we then just have seen only bullish price action following that. And that was obviously corresponding with that daily three drives of bullish divergence. So now what happened? I can leave this up right now. What happened? We basically had this flag taking place, or descending triangle, depending how you were looking at it. Actually, I do want to go back to the daily because the descending triangle is a little more clear. We broke down from it clearly, rejected lower prices, broke back inside of it now, but now here we're going to run into very clear resistance at the top. This is still resistance, even though we broke down from it, and then this was support, then acted as resistance, but we broke back through it. Doesn't mean we're just going to break straight through this resistance now because we broke that one. So, we'll have to see what happens. Do we just chop here? I think more likely than not, we probably go down to like 34.7, and then we'll see if that holds. Probably just fill out this range a little more. But yeah, I mean, I said bear market canceled. I know that's the title of the video. It's not. The bear market is not canceled, ladies and gentlemen. This is just a reaction rally, in my opinion. If the 821 cross back over on the daily, the bear market is in fact officially canceled. But right now it's not. This still looks to me like a gigantic head and shoulders potentially taking place. We very clearly have a shoulder here. Very clearly have a head, a big rounding head right here. Big head, Bitcoin, idiots. And then we have very clearly a shoulder developing right here. I would like to see it push up and take out this previous high right here at like 40,000. You know, potentially get up here. Depending how much strength we see out of it is how much strength there is in the Bitcoin market. So the weaker this right shoulder looks, the more I would expect it to dump. The stronger the right shoulder looks, the more potential there is that we in fact invalidate this pattern and break back to the upside. So we will see what happens, but again, still looks terrible. Crypto looks terrible. I've been saying it. I'm still saying it. On the spot market too, let me turn off the drawing tools. Very clearly here, we have, you know, we had reclaimed the 200 exponential and simple moving average on the futures chart. Matter of fact, we never broke down and closed below the 200 simple, and now here we are above the 200 exponential. That's the daily. This is the daily also on spot markets. We are well below the 200 exponential and simple. We now have a downward slope on the 200 exponential, and the 200 simple is rolling over and fast, very close to an actual cross, death cross. And look, it is what it is. The death cross is like a meme at this point in time. I see all these idiots saying like, oh, we got a death cross between the 20 and the 50 and the 41, the 9 and the 63. Like, the actual death cross is a 200 and a 50 crossing to the downside when the 50 crosses below the 200, or the 55 and the 200 exponential. Also, that's what I use on like log scale on crypto. A golden cross is the opposite, the inverse, the 50 crossing back above the 200 simple, or the 55 crossing above the 200 exponential. That is a golden cross and a death cross. All the other crosses on moving averages do not have a fancy name, and honestly, it's a lagging indicator. A lot of times what will happen is the market will respond opposite of what people think. We will be about to get the death cross. You will see the 200 and the 50 crossing, and everyone will say, that's it, it's over. And then all of a sudden, you will just skyrocket back through it, blow it away, and we'll continue back to the upside. So they're very lagging indicators. They more often than not fail. So I don't put a ton of credit on them. And again, it's more like a meme to me, in my opinion. But, you know, again, we're very clearly below the 200 exponential and simple on spot market. We get a lot more false signals on spot market because when half the market's closed, you know, it's easier for the whales. It's easier for the Bitcoin bulls to take over and push the price in the direction they want. When there's less people trading, there's less capital in the markets, there's less liquidity on the exchanges. So you get a lot of false signals from the spot markets, as where what you tend to see out of the futures market is much more reliable. So again, you know, we'll see what happens right here. I much more like weight the futures market. It's just, we don't have nearly as much, you know, time to look back on. We don't have nearly as much, like, there's not nearly as much to look at on the futures market because it's only from like the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, but it's been very clearly dominant overall. So we'll see what happens over the weekend. We'll see what happens coming into like the weekly close this week, and have to go from there. So Doge finding support here at the 89. I took a small position on Doge at 30 cents. I'm not overly like bullish. I still think that we probably just chop around here and then get some sort of like ridiculous pump. It's not a large position. I'm not going to like retire and close down my channel and, you know, buy a tropical island off of my Doge position, but I will continue to take advantage of the idiocracy that's taking place in meme coin, aka the dog. It is what it is. I mean, we'll see what happens. Again, overall looks decent. 821 still cross the downside, but you know, this is just what Doge does. It just goes sideways for a while and then sees some strength, goes sideways for a while, sees some strength. We'll see what happens this time. Let's flip over to a little longer time frame. Let me clear my throat real. Let me clear my throat. All right. On the weekly here, you know, we're hovering at the 8. I really don't want to see this thing closing below the 8, since we like haven't closed below the 8 like the entire bull run. The last time we closed below the 8 was at 0.002 cents, that was 20% of a penny per dog coin. So I definitely don't want to see us closing back below the 21 or back below the 8. We had like a slight close here, but immediately regained it. So we'll see how this week closes. But if we close below the 8, I can't help but be bearish on Dogecoin. As much as I hate to say it, I do love dogs. I do like crypto, but we'll have to see. Ethereum next. Ethereum couldn't get above the 8. I mean, it looks weak, honestly. We got a high, we got a lower high, potentially another lower high. Did not see that same, it was looking stronger, honestly, than Bitcoin was, but we did not see that same strength come out of it. Let me switch off of moving averages and onto drawing tools. So can see pretty clearly, you know, we got like that fake out breakout of an ascending triangle as opposed to just like a flag or descending triangle we were seeing on Bitcoin. So if we can reclaim this area, I expect it to, you know, potentially top back out here about like 28.89, potentially get the breakout up to like 36, but it's just going to do what Bitcoin does. We also don't see that same, oh wait, did we see the divergence? Yeah, okay. No, we don't. We have a low here, we have a higher low here, we have a higher low here. We're seeing convergence. It looks all right. I mean, but overall, it's just, I think most of these, I think people are losing confidence. And we'll see on the Bitcoin dominance chart, you know, I think people are losing confidence in their favorite shitcoins. The flavor of the week is starting to die off a little bit. And people are thinking, hang on, maybe I should take the safe trade. You know, maybe I should consolidate into Bitcoin, or I guess technically stable coins. I don't know how it's safe, but below the 200 exponential and simple on Litecoin. Litecoin is shit. I'm probably not going to look at that anymore. I looked at it like once for somebody and it sucks. I don't like Litecoin. It's garbage. Polkadot finding support off that same level, trying to move back up to the top here. Sort of looks like we're just starting to form some kind of like little channel action going on. I don't know. We'll see. Sort of looks like it's got a little something going on like this. So we'll see. Looks like it's basically just going to oscillate around here. You know, we're at the bottom of the range, but we've got a very clear like resistance here above us at like 25 bucks. If we break through that, I expect like the measure move off the triangle up to like 31. But, you know, again, this thing's showing some weakness. MicroStrategy, this had a nice pump today, like 10% pump or something like that, with Michael Saylor coming out. But then in the aftermarket, it was like right back down at like 460. So it gave back all the gains. We'll see if it gets continuation here throughout the week. Michael Saylor is once again trying to prop up the markets. He is taking out loans, levering his position, trying to protect his investment. I think they said 400 million more. He's trying to get 400 million more. Look, just remember his average price right now is like 25,000 on a Bitcoin. So he went from massively up on a position to basically up like what, 25,000, and we're at like 37 right now. So he's up like 50%. And you know, also let's go on a little rant here. Let's go on a little Michael Saylor rant. This guy shouldn't be captaining a little toy boat in a lake, let alone, you know, the Bitcoin army. Please don't buy into the cult of him, because you will remember Michael Saylor's whole pitch on Bitcoin was what? Protecting his capital. His whole pitch on Bitcoin was about cash devaluing. He looked at gold, and gold was garbage. And then Bitcoin was the answer. Okay? That's fine. If you do your homework and you make that decision, I'm 100% with you. That's totally cool. If you come to that conclusion using actual technicals and intelligent things and not just cherry picking data, that's totally fine. But protecting your capital and taking your company's balance sheet and quote unquote putting it in Bitcoin because Bitcoin appreciates at 200% per year from when it was like a penny is not the same thing as borrowing millions or even hundreds of millions or let alone billions of dollars to speculate on a digital asset. That is not protecting your capital. That is not protecting your wealth. That is not a quote unquote store of value. You are speculating on a digital asset with 10 years, 12 years of history. Okay? That is not what he said he was doing. He said he was protecting his company's balance sheet, protecting his capital, and protecting himself from inflation. That is not what he's doing. He is speculating on digital assets right now. He is buying crypto lottery tickets. Okay? That's not what he said he was doing. So be very careful, because he's literally selling snake oil. I mean, that's literally what it is. And keep in mind also that, well, I'm not even going to get into like the whole big thing. You guys know how I feel about the situation, but just be aware that there's a big difference between what he said he was doing and what he's doing. That he was literally doing interviews not too long ago telling people that they should borrow money against their house, take out a second mortgage, and buy Bitcoin. That is not protecting your wealth. That is not storing your value. That is speculating on digital assets using loans. You're borrowing money to speculate. That's how people get wrecked. That's how people get liquidated. That's how people lose everything. He was telling people, don't sell your family business, borrow against it, and buy Bitcoin. That is not protecting your value. The number one thing, the absolute best thing, okay, here's your rant right now, guys, so get ready for it. The best thing that you can ever do is invest in yourself, okay? What does that mean? Your education. Become smarter. Become intelligent. Spend 10,000 hours plus doing something and become a professional at it. And then sell your services or goods or knowledge to other people who do not have the time to do that. So you become a professional in something by learning it hand and foot and doing all the research, getting good at it, whether it's business, whether it's, history, whatever it is, trading, whatever you're going to do. Maybe you're going to learn to knit and you're going to spend 10,000 plus hours knitting and learn all the like fancy little knots. And then you're going to knit people's scarves and blankets and all that stuff. That's great, because maybe in my life at some point in time, I might want to buy somebody a scarf that's hand knit or, a blanket or something like that. I'm not going to learn how to knit. I'm not going to take my time and do it. So I'm going to go to a professional and I'm going to buy that service. Okay. So that's what I mean when I say invest in yourself. Pick something that people will want to buy or want to pay you for in the future, become extremely good at it, and then you can barter or sell or trade those services to someone else. That is becoming a professional. What is that? You're basically, you're investing in yourself. The same way you invest in yourself theoretically when you go to college. You pay a bunch of money, you learn a trade, you become extremely good at it, or you learn about a topic, become extremely good about it, and then people pay you for that service. Whether you become a lawyer, whether you become a mechanic, a plumber, whatever it is, a financial advisor, which I'm not your financial advisor, remember that. Whatever you choose to do, that's you investing in yourself. And that's why I always say the number one thing you should do is invest in yourself. Where am I going with this? So the best thing you can ever do is start your own business. You invest in yourself, you become good at it, you save up money, you start to build a client base or, whatever your business is, and then you grow that over time and you grow your wealth. And then once you cannot expand that business anymore, or you want to diversify out of that business, is when you start to invest in other people's businesses. What do I mean by that? You're basically, you invest in them, you speculate on other businesses, you invest in their businesses through the stock market, or, maybe whatever it is, you know what I mean? Real estate, whatever you end up investing in, like something else. That's how you invest in yourself. And then you eventually reach a point where you can no longer grow that business. Because I'm going to tell you right now, people say, you always hear super rich people or millionaires or billionaires or hedge fund managers or whatever. You hear them all the time saying that they're looking for opportunities. What are they looking for? What's their opportunity? They are looking for someone else that has a great idea or a great business to basically borrow money from them so that they can grow their business. So the hedge fund manager or the investor gets a piece of the pie from the guy that's building the business. But in the end, what are they really doing? You build a business and then you invest in other people's businesses once you have enough money that it's not as profitable to grow your own business anymore, or you have too much money to deploy into your own business anymore. So what's really happening? You're investing in your own business, and then you're investing in other people's businesses and other people's businesses and other people's businesses, and you're getting a piece of their pie. So what is the heart of every investment is you invest in yourself first. You grow your own business first. You create something, because who's going to work harder than you? Nobody. If you have a vested interest and you're passionate about it, you're going to bust your ass to make sure you succeed, and you're going to crush it. And your returns on that business, if you start off with $1,000 and then you grow your business and you make $10,000 part-time for a couple of years, and then 20, and then 30, and then 50, and then you're full-time, you're making $50,000 a year, you have taken what started off as $1,000 investment and you've turned it into, a stream of income that is $50,000 a year. And, depending on how you're valuing your business, just a rough idea, typically once you have profits for more than 3 years in a row, the way you value a business for like your actual, oh God, why can't I think of the word right now? Whatever. The way they value your business typically is you take either the past like 3 years or 5 years, and then you multiply how much money you've made like by that in the single year. God, I'm doing a horrible job explaining it. The valuation for the intangible assets of the business are basically, if you made $50,000 a year for 3 years, your business will typically be valued at like $150,000 plus like, whatever inventory you have, whatever machinery, whatever building you own, etc. So that's how you value it. So how are you ever going to make better returns investing in anything than if you take $1,000 and 5 years later you're making $50,000 a year and you have $50,000 in like merchandise and, like machinery or whatever. I don't know if you're making t-shirts. I don't know if you're power washing people's houses. I don't know what you're doing, but whatever. I don't know if you're, making your own knitting business. I don't know if you're a baker, whatever it is you're doing, the returns you make on that initial investment are going to be exponentially better than you're ever going to make investing in someone else's business, because you're looking for, before you ever invest in someone else's business, you're looking for essentially like regular returns and profitability. So that's where you come up with the evaluations for those intangible assets. And then you say, okay, this business, you're making $50,000 a year times the last 3 years, and you have $100,000 worth of like merchandise, etc. So your business is worth $250,000. So I'm going to invest a certain amount of money into your business, and I want, 25% of it. And here's 25% of the capital, whatever, so that you can grow your business. But what are you really doing? You're just helping someone else achieve their goals, which is really what everyone should be doing. Everyone should already have their own awesome, profitable, amazing business before they're really even going like hardcore into someone else's business, because the returns are always going to be the best. The reason all these hedge funds and Warren Buffett and all these other people, quote unquote, invest or buy pieces or buy businesses is because they have reached their own potential where there's no more time for growth, or there's no more room for growth, or they've run out of hours in a day. So they would rather sit back, make intelligent decisions in other people's businesses, and then just get a cut off of that. That's what capitalism is all about. That's what investing is all about. So when you really break it down to the absolute fundamentals, the best investment you can ever make is in yourself. Invest in yourself. And that's what I mean by it. And I'm not sure if I've ever actually like fully explained that and why that's so important. But every single person, especially if you're here right now listening to this, you have the ability to do that. You're already good at something. You're already passionate about something. And if you can figure out a way to make money off that, or you already are, that's where your money should go. And only once you have reached your potential or run out of hours in a day or whatever, should you really be like diversifying out into like a bunch of other stuff. Now, it's always intelligent to do things like make like tax deferred, investments, etc. It's always fun, but that should be your main focus initially, is growing your own business to your maximizing like your own personal potential, and then invest in other people's businesses and stuff like that. But if you're still working for somebody else at some like shithole job or whatever, you should be spending like all, in my opinion, you should be spending all your own time figuring out how you're going to get rich investing in yourself first. Because again, you're never going to see those gains from somewhere else. I mean, every once in a while, you're going to see like a Dogecoin explosion or something like that, for sure. But what's the more likelihood of success? Putting $10,000 in Dogecoin and becoming a millionaire, or putting $10,000 into yourself and your passion and your education and your own business, and then turning that into $1 million business. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, $1 million is not a lot of money. We measure things in billions and trillions, and soon it'll be quadrillions. It's not that hard to become a millionaire in, today's society. So, there's your tangent for today, guys. I know normally it's a little more negative than that, but we can do positive tangents too. I hope I touched somebody, not in like a creepy Michael Jackson kind of way, but like, made you like have that sense of inspiration or courage or, confidence in yourself, so that you could reach that goal. Because then you're going to be so much exponentially better off if you're investing in yourself and you're making these decisions, because you can trust yourself. You trust you're putting in the work. And the truth is, maybe you do fail, but you look back and say, yeah, I failed because I didn't actually bust my ass. I didn't put in the work like I should have. I didn't research it. I made a bad decision. And you try to do it again. You do it a few times. Everybody fails. But, if you don't strike out, you're never going to hit a home run. If you get up there and just like bunt or like sit on the bench and cheer on the other people, yeah, sure, you get to like bask in the glory a little bit. But nothing feels better than being the guy who hits the home run. It's great when like your guy hits a home run and you're like standing up in the stands drinking a beer. Sure, that's great and everything, but you should be the guy out there hitting the home run first. So there we have it. Let's keep going. Michael Saylor is a bitch. Just throwing that out there. Coinbase. I mean, this still, man, we'll see. It looks okay. It's finding some kind of support here at the heart line. I don't love this trade, but it still looks okay. We saw that one day of, red come in here. Another day of green. I switched. I hate this. That there's like no actual time here. On the 4 hour, it looks like it's trying to roll back over. I really want to see some strength tomorrow and come back up to the top of the range. I'll feel a lot better about this, but again, I'm not really looking to exit out of this position. I don't think Coinbase is just going to sell off. I don't think we'll see it at like $100, and I didn't go into like some crazy position to where I'm like, I got to get out of this trade. I will continue to buy Coinbase, along the way down at key levels, just because I really do believe in the business model. It's been around for a while. It's a leader in the space. And I like that the actual Coinbase chart is not going to always be tied directly to the price action in crypto. It's more tied to like volatility. And I like the potential of the evolution of Coinbase into like custody over like the 90+% of their like money that they're making currently off of, they're basically making everything off trading fees right now. So I'm not going to lose hope in this trade right here, but it doesn't look great, honestly, right now. Bitcoin dominance chart. Or not. What that I've noticed is like whenever I need to do updates, it's like the freaking browser goes like full of like retard on me. Weekly Bitcoin dominance chart. We spoke about this. This was like literally the scenario we were expecting to happen. Every time we've seen the bearish control zone hard buy, we got a nice move afterwards. Bearish control zone hard buy, sold off pretty violently, and then we got a nice move afterwards. Bearish control zone hard buy, nice move. Bearish control zone hard buy, nice move. Again, does not mean we're in an uptrend, but here we are, bearish control zone. We got the hard buy. I really do expect continuation on this. I think people are starting to lose faith in the shit coins or altcoins or whatever. I think we're probably going to get back up here like Bitcoin dominance back in like the 54 to like 58 range. After that, we'll see which direction we go. I mean, right now it's more than likely going to be just like a dead cat bounce in my opinion. But we'll see what happens. We'll see. I mean, it could be an ABC retracement and then we continue up, which was like my overall like macro view. I don't know if I've looked at this recently, but this to me looks like a giant 1. And then that was our 2 retracement down here. And then that would give us like a massive 3 up to like a new high, and then a 4 retracement down, and then a 5 back up. That would basically be saying Bitcoin won, Bitcoin is crushing it, and the majority of the altcoins like died off. I don't know that that's going to be the case. I think more than likely the path that Bitcoin looks like, that crypto and Bitcoin look like they're headed on, it looks more than likely, honestly, like a dollar type scenario where it's just going to always go down. Because obviously Bitcoin was the only crypto originally. So it was 100% of the market share. And it's literally only been going down since then. So in all reality, it's probably just going to keep going down. I would imagine eventually, like the store of value aspect of Bitcoin, assuming that's what survives, something else is going to do better at payments. We're going to have smart contracts on Ethereum or whatever else. We're going to have the DeFi space. We're going to have all these other things. There's going to be winners in all these different like subsects of crypto. And in the end, Bitcoin will probably just be the OG. So, I mean, fundamentally, technically, looking at the chart, thinking about it like that, more likely than not, Bitcoin just loses market cap like forever. And then maybe eventually becomes obsolete. I don't know. I'm still all about Bitcoin. I would say I'm probably, I don't think I'm definitely a maximalist, but I'm about as close as you can be to a maximalist without being a maximalist, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm going to jump back over in chat here, and then we can go on with our commodities. Yeah, appreciate you, brother. I was pretty pumped about that myself, honestly. Okay, so gold spot market, the Zao chart, XAU. I still really do think we're gonna get up to 1950. It looks like we're starting to roll over now. We're definitely losing strength. We got the hard sell signal on the daily, a bunch of red histograms. We're at the area where I would typically see a bounce. We typically would bounce the histogram off the slope line and at least see some kind of move up here. It is possible we just roll over. But I really think we're going to top out at like 1950, based on like previous history, and everybody's like massively like focused on this whole inflation trade. And I'm just not sure it's going to happen. Maybe long term we see massive inflation. Short term, we definitely have seen inflation, but I think somewhere in the middle we see deflation. And I'm not even sure we'll see massive inflation in the end. We may see deflation in the end too. XAG silver, giant ascending triangle. We're at the top of the range. 1, 2, 3, triple top. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Again, I love silver. I hate to use technicals and tell you the truth about silver, because it probably makes me seem like a bear on silver, but I'm not. I just know I believe in reality and technicals. So the fundamentals for silver are strong. The technicals for silver look good. But honestly, this is one of the most skeptical things about it. The gold silver ratio, still, we basically have broken out of our red descending. We have broken out of our orange descending wedge, and we're outside the range. And I think eventually we're going to get a powerful move to the upside. And that's basically saying gold is selling off and silver is selling off faster. Gold is going parabolic and silver is just kind of meh. Or gold is going up and silver is going sideways, which I just don't see as possible. I think more than likely gold goes parabolic, and silver just lags a little bit, or gold just absolutely starts capitulating and silver capitulates exponentially faster. I'm also not interested in silver, with the ridiculous premiums that have been going on. That is literally how you end up in a losing position. I suspect in the future I will be buying all these people's silver that became hodlers at $4 to $12 an ounce premiums. I honestly believe I will be buying all that silver from all those people. Maybe not all of it. You guys can buy some too, but I think we'll be getting it from them at much, much lower prices. Even if the price just goes sideways for a year and the premiums go back to normal, people are going to be down 30 to 50% on their positions because the premiums were so high. That is absolutely the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. XPT, platinum, that fatty platty. Look, we broke down from our massive channel. We broke down from our itty bitty channel, and I think we're more than likely headed down somewhere between $1,000 and $850. I would really like to see us base out at the top of the one and see this pattern validated at like a G. I would love it. And again, platinum's premiums were like $200 to $300 an ounce, and now they have already come down to like $150 an ounce just in this little move right here. So if we get down to $1,000, I think we'll be able to get platinum for like 1,050. And honestly, I'm not gonna back up the truck because that's what idiots do, but I will definitely be buying some platinum with the premiums down and nice buying opportunity. There's also a ton of historical resistance slash support in this range too. So I will absolutely be loving it if we get back down here to like $1,000. I think platinum's extremely undervalued. So is that just me, Bubblies? I thought it was just me, man. I thought it was my computer acting a fool. But I guess that makes sense. It probably is TradingView doing it because I don't see like the camera looks like it's doing fine. I didn't even think about that. Maybe they're doing some kind of update or something. They have been spamming the updates this year. It's crazy. USAS, American Gold and Silver Corp. Man, I really thought we were going to see more of a powerful move off of the bottom of the triangle here. I mean, I don't hate this position right now, but I mean, it's not looking great at this point in time. I thought we would at least see some kind of forward movement. Again, I'm not giving up on it. Bunch of green histograms in a row. We got the hard buy coming out of the bearish control zone. Flip the slope over blue. I mean, there's definitely a beautiful risk reward setup here. But I mean, I don't know. I'm tempted to add to this position, but honestly, I really think gold and silver are going to top out, and I think miners are going to get shellacked. So that's why I haven't. So more than likely, I think this trade fails. ACB, obviously the cannabis stocks are doing great. The whole space is doing great. And notice how all of a sudden it's like mainstream. I'm hearing about it on CNBC. Everybody's talking about cannabis, Aurora. They're talking about Tilray. They're talking about canopy growth. They're talking about everything. Once again, late to the party, but I don't even care. There's so much upside potential in this space. I hear people talking about how it's getting ready to go on like crypto style parabolic run. I totally agree. That's what I've been saying. Up over, I think between 30 and 40% on ACB and Tilray right now. And I only expect more price action. We are running into the 200 exponential, which I would expect. Again, we called that out ahead of time. I think we chop around here for a while. I will be, if I don't see anything great this week, I will just be adding to my ACB, Tilray, and probably THCX positions. And then just a little bit of diversification into something else. But right now, you know what? We took a couple tech trades for last week. We took the cannabis stocks and gold and silver miners, I think, the week before that. I think the week before that was uranium trades. There was like some Pinterest in there. I mean, I would really like to have a little more diversity into where we're putting this money lately. But again, it's about to be rebalance time anyway, so we'll address it accordingly. And I don't mind going into this half if I end up overweight commodities and cannabis stocks. Obviously, like, I'm okay with that. I will leave it overweight for a little bit just because I think there's some serious potential upside and the charts look so promising. But yeah, I mean, there's really no but to it. You know, it's nice. I have a little bit of flexibility to it. All the indicators. Yeah, I mean, I also have like 75 tabs open, but I feel like that's more of like a computer thing than a. I just noticed sometimes with the browser on this that if I have like an update thing in the corner up here and it says update and I'm just too lazy to like restart the computer because I have all these browsers open, I've noticed that it like lags after a few days. It's like telling me like, bitch, you better update. Tilray, again, very promising. You know, never got below 200 exponential or simple. Looks great. We got the breakout from our, you know, descending little pattern here. We're almost to our target, initial target and key fib level. I expect this up at like $26 soon. Everything's good. Nice momentum to the upside. THCX, same thing. A little weaker. I mean, this has like Tilray, Aurora, Canopy Growth, a bunch of the other ones in there as well. So, you know, this, I expect this to, you know, you get a little more diversity, a little less performance, in my opinion, is what we'll see out of this. YOLO is okay. Again, it's going to be an underperformer, but gives a little bit more diversity. UEC, it looks like uranium is starting to do what I've been talking about. It looks like we're very likely like topping out here. Basically getting like that one, I guess technically like double top right here. We'll have to see what happened. We're still seeing, like I said, you know, some bearish divergence taking place. I think uranium trade is like overcrowded right now. I'm seeing like tons of videos on YouTube about uranium. Everybody's talking about uranium. No one has talked about uranium for 20 years. And now everybody and their mom is talking about uranium. So that's typically when you see a pullback. And how long is the pullback gonna last in uranium? Probably like 6 months to a year. I don't know. Sprott's got like a new deal opening up here that could potentially like drive the bull market further. I'm never mad about putting money into uranium because it's so undervalued long term. But again, like I don't like drawdown, so I would rather wait for another pullback and buy more. But I'm not necessarily going to be like selling or taking profits. URA still looks good also. New high up here. Got to be careful though. Once again, same high on the indicator oscillator, but higher high on price action. It's only slightly higher, but it's still bearish divergence. Cameco, CCJ. Yeah, see, it's not my computer. I don't know why I was thinking it was my computer. It's definitely TradingView because like my mouse is still working completely fine, but the charts are taking forever to load. CCJ, again, massive bull market, looks beautiful, but we got bearish divergence taking place, at least short term on the daily. A pullback at this point in time is not unrealistic. I think we can get this thing down like 30% and get better buys in here. Copper doing exactly what we said. We got this giant channel going on here. We were at the top of the range, at the top of the channel. Since then, we have done nothing but sell off. Man, this is a tough one. I like where we pulled back to. I like this entry back here. This is the CPER index. A couple other copper funds or indexes or whatever. This is just an example. But I will probably, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll add to my copper position. It's been a while since I added. I look at this as a nice retest. We broke up to a new high here, came back down, found some support, broke up to a new high here, came back down, found some support on that previous like resistance level. So this is a decent area, I think, to add. Again, little skeptical though, as again, this is like a crowded trade. Everybody's talking about copper, but even a little drawdown. If I'm really desperate to find somewhere to deploy capital by the end of the week, I probably will go that route. I will probably add a little bit to like copper, maybe lithium, depending how this chart acts. Looks like it's about to sell off, honestly. And then probably like pot stocks. But overall, lithium looks good. But again, I would rather see this back down here at like $63 or something like that. But bullish long run. Lumber broke down from that support as expected. Tried to find some support here, push back up, got rejected. We're in the bearish control zone. Bunch of red histograms in a row. Slope to the bottom. Looks like we could easily see continuation. I would expect continuation to the downside. I still think we're going to get back down to about $1,000. I mean, this was like absolutely ridiculous up here at like almost 1700, I'm sorry. And it's already down to like 1164. Oh, big surprise. The lumber trade was unsustainable. The futures market was ridiculous. Of course it was. Of course it was. It was obvious. There's no question in anyone's mind. I think $800 is definitely likely. I think 1,000 is more likely. But I mean, at this point in time, damn, we're almost there. So, okay, so Caterpillar and John Deere, and we're gonna wrap it up there. I think that's it, right? Yeah. This is exactly what I was talking about. Massive pattern. Been going on since back last year in that March dump right here. Since then, it has like 2.5 times. And now here we are for the first time breaking down from that pattern. Little rejection for now, but I expect continuation back down to like key fib levels. I am a buyer at this probably again at like $200. But again, I'll wait and see. I'm probably not just going to like try to pick the bottom. This had very clear bearish divergence. And now we see the bearish divergence playing out. And along with the bearish divergence playing out, we are breaking down from a support level that we have not broken in basically like a year plus. So, and then John Deere, same thing. This thing has been operating. This was showing bearishness sooner, but also bearish divergence. This thing has been operating in the top of the channel like the whole way up here. We weren't even like in the bottom of the channel since like July last year. And then when we broke down below and then couldn't get back above the heart line, we showed immediate weakness. And now we're breaking down out of the bottom of the channel. Now we realistically, though, this is a little less reliable because we only really have one touch on the bottom, but there's so many touches on the heart line. That's what really validates this channel because realistically now we only really have like 2 touches on the bottom, but the heart line validates this channel, in my opinion, with a ton of touches on the top here along the way. So, but again, Deere could be down at like $250 quick That's $100 down 33%. And we've looked at Deere and Caterpillar. These trades were way overcrowded too, with like the big talks of infrastructure and all that. And now people are realizing politics takes time. And, you know, when you make up new definitions for infrastructure and they're not really infrastructure, of course, people don't want to just jump on board. And honestly, like, without getting too political, I feel like the Democrats have gone like full retard. They're acting like they have like a 75% majority in the House and like Congress, and they don't. They have one vote. They have literally a deal breaker in the vice president. Like, if they keep pissing off Joe Manchin, they're not even going to be able to use reconciliation to get stuff by. They're not going to be able to get rid of the filibuster, which they shouldn't. That's total bullshit. But, I mean, look, they're not going to get anything done if they keep acting like this. It's absolutely ridiculous what they're doing right now. And they're only looking like hypocrites right now, too, with like all the border stuff. They're like against everything when Trump says it. And now they're down there trying to do the exact same thing. All their policies they've been like implementing are like absolute shit shows. They're spending money like drunken sailors, like worse than anybody has ever done in the past. Like, it's completely unsustainable. So in all reality, our political system is broken. They're all a bunch of fucking morons. They're like best friends. It's two sides of the same coin. You know, it's all garbage in my opinion. So it is what it is. I don't want to gang up on Democrats, but you know, when you make everything about like pleasing the masses and, you know, ridiculous policies and trying to like race bait everybody, and it's just not sustainable. I mean, this is just so stupid what's going on right now. But I would rather see, you know, a little bit of like return to normal, in my opinion, because like political times and the spending going on in the United States is like absolutely moronic right now. So, but I think we're going to wrap it up with that. Blew through all the assets, kept it nice and quick, hour and a half. Got a nice rant in there, a positive rant, which is good. And then a little political rant at the end. So let me know what you think in the comments about the positive rant. And then also the political rant. Let me know what's going on politically in your country. What is your country doing right? What is your country doing wrong? How do you guys feel about, I don't know. What's your favorite asset? What do you like right now? What do you hate? What trades should I be looking at this week? Because I'm not seeing a ton of places I want to deploy capital. I got this money just burning a hole in my pocket and I need somewhere to put it. Where is it going, guys? Where's it going? Do I got to double down on the cannabis stocks? Do I buy some more copper? Do I go all in on Shiba Inu coin? That was a joke. I'm going to jump back over here in the chat real quick. Oh, man, you guys aren't too active over there. Lazy fuckers. Beautiful rant. Hey, appreciate it, my dude. Yeah. Rants don't always have to be negative, I don't think, man. You know, I think, like, sometimes people lose sight of, like, you know, their own potential. Yeah, I'm loving Tilray right now, too, dude. I'm really loving it. And it's always good, too, because I got a bunch of friends who are, you know, investing in a lot of this stuff right now the right way, diversifying their portfolios, buying at key support levels, getting those good entry points so they're immediately seeing profits, as where like the majority of them in the past were like buying breakouts and then getting wrecked, or like FOMOing into like trades that were already over, or not selling after they were massively up, and then like capitulation moves happen and then they end up negative on something they were up like 500% on. But it is what it is. It's all part of the learning experience. If you don't invest more than you're willing to lose, you don't have to worry about that. You know, and on a long enough time frame, with the exception of literally like a handful of times in history, like eventually you end up profitable no matter what you invest in, as long as it has decent fundamentals. Typically, like, you know, if you're not buying like the shit coins of crypto or like horrible like stocks, eventually you end up in profit. It's just a matter of the drawdown. And do you capitulate from, you know, the drawdown, or do you capitulate from time, or do you eventually just end up back up? But I think most of the time, if you spend too much time upside down in a trade, you're just happy to get out of it at break even, and then you're not missing out on like the upside that follows. So I would rather not suffer any drawdown and just catch like the move up, and then just get out a little early and deploy that capital somewhere else. So, but definitely going to, you guys heard me about the group. Shoot me a message if you're interested. I will get back to, I'll probably get back to some people before the weekend. If I don't have a chance though, if you've already sent me a message, I did get it. I will get back to you sometime this week. I am going to be away for the weekend, but I will be back for the Sunday stream. So I will see you guys then. Appreciate all the viewers, the likes, the support, all that good stuff. Share it where you watch it on YouTube. Share it with your buddies. Tell your friends. Tell your wife. Tell your mother. Tell your dog. You know, all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys. And lucky enough to be in CLF before Reddit found it. Yeah, it's beautiful when you're in like Reddit stocks before Reddit finds them, man. That's like how what was it? Some of the Silver Juniors were. And then Tilray had like a sweet burst off of like the Reddit Raiders, and I made out pretty good on them. I have not messed with GameStop or AMC at all. Doge was another one where I capitalized on like all the idiots. Yeah, it's great. You can't beat it, man. But I don't have social media, so I don't know. I only hear about these things like afterwards. I do not use social media. I think it's an absolute waste of time, and I think it is literally just full of negativity, full of trolls. Like, there's something about the internet that gives people like balls that they would never have in real life. Like, people treat each other like absolute shit on the internet the way they would never treat someone in real life. And honestly, I hate it. Like, there's no accountability, and it's just, honestly, I think people just go on the internet and just vent, and it's like poison. It's literally like horrible. That's why I don't like social media. And it's just only gotten worse, and it's loaded with ads, and they steal your data, and just, I'm just not about that life. I'm also old, so, you know, I'm not into tech the same way like a lot of other people are, so. And last but not least, my dude Bubbly says Australia now along with CBD over the counter. Yeah, definitely, man. CBD is like already big where I'm at. You know, pot is not legal here currently, but a bunch of states it is. I still think it's a long time before it becomes legal, but I think the Canadian stocks are gonna roar. And I'm pretty sure, like, who was it? I'm pretty sure Tilray, maybe it was Aurora. I don't know. They're both big, I think, in Australia. So only use social media for barbecue stuff and soccer. Yeah, that's what it is, man. Every once in a while, I would like jump back on, you know, see how people's families are doing or whatever, or talk to my own family or something like that. Like, but I never use it, man. Like, it's just, it's so useless. I mean, I don't have most social medias. I only have like the old school ones. Like, I had a MySpace back in the day and a Facebook, but again, I never use them. And when I do, it's only for like reconnecting with family, or like you said, you know, checking up on like my old buddies or whatever it is. I really don't interact on there. I'm typically, I'll pop on like for 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes once a week or something like that. Yeah, Tilray. Okay, I knew it was one of them. I felt like it was Tilray. Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna get out of here. Nice quick one today. So then I don't feel guilty about doing like a nice 3 hours on Sunday or whatever. So, yeah, that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the positivity, the message. Invest in yourself. You know, enjoy yourself, enjoy your life. Get out there, have a little fun. I'm taking myself a little vacation this weekend. I am looking forward to it. Wrapping up some loose ends and gonna let loose and have a good time. I will see you guys Sunday. Hopefully, I'm not a big drinker, but hopefully I don't have too bad of a hangover come Sunday. I will be obviously watching those fights. Pretty excited for those title fight slash rematches. If you're not a UFC fan, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. If you are a UFC fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Leon Edwards, Nate Diaz is going to be a banger. I think that's going to be a fun fight, honestly. Nate Diaz, man, I don't think Leon Edwards beats Diaz on the ground, and I think Diaz beats Edwards on the feet. I don't necessarily think Nate Diaz is going to win the fight, but I don't think Leon Edwards is like, I think he was like a 500 favorite. Do I think he wins that fight 8 out of 10 times or 4 out of 5 times? I don't think so, man. Maybe like 3 out of 5, maybe like 50%. Like, I don't know. That might be the upset of the week right there. And then as far as, man, to tell you the truth, Adesanya and Vittori, that's another one. I thought like going back and watching that fight and really pointing it and everything, I thought Vettori actually won that fight in the third round. Now Vettori is a Hulk, man. He's a muscle beast, and I don't know. This is 5 rounds. All these fights are 5 rounds. The last three. I don't know what's going to happen in those championship rounds. I don't think either one of them is going away, Izzy or Vettori, in the first 3 rounds. So I think it's going to come down to who can beast it for the last 2 rounds. But 25 minutes in the ring with either one of those men is, oh man, that's a bad day either way. So we'll see what happens. I think if Vettori can get those takedowns, man, I think he pulls like that Jan Blachowicz on Izzy, and Izzy ends up losing 2 in a row, and we get our first ever Italian champion. That could be fucking awesome, man. I like Vettori. He's got a good attitude overall. And honestly, like, I used to really like Israel Adesanya. I like that he's like the first like New Zealand champion and everything, but he's turning into a little bit of a bitch, man. I think like that fame and fortune has gone to his head a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I like his style. I like what he brings to the game and everything, but it's turning into like a cocky prick a little bit. So I still like him and everything, but I'm not sure if I'd be mad if he loses. And again, you know, I think he was like a 2-something favorite. Again, I think if Vettori gets a takedown, especially in the early couple rounds, and can just kind of wear on him, I think he wins that fight. On the feet, though, I don't think he can win it. I think Izzy's too good standing up. Dude's a beast. Kickboxing freaking legend. His timing is amazing. He's got nice reach. Dynamic strikes. Good feints. And then what's the last one? Oh, that rematch. Dude. Oh my gosh, why can't I think of their names right now? It's the other rematch. God, I can't think of their names all of a sudden. But that championship fight, that was that majority draw. That was a good freaking fight. But I think, God, why can't I think of their names? Damn, I guess I'm burnt out from this week or from this stream. But I think that rematch is going to be good too. I thought that was a close fight. And if, what's his name? The Mexican dude. If he didn't get that groin strike, I think that he lost a point for that without a warning. I think he would have won the fight. That would have been a whole different fight right there. So we'll see what happens this time. I think once again it's going to be a banger. I think the champ is going to end up winning it though. I don't think it's going to go another 25 minutes. If he comes in there, I know his weight cut was kind of rough last time. If he comes in there ready to go, I think he's going to get an early stoppage, like first, like pre-championship round. So we'll see. Yeah, God bless you too, my dude. Yeah, exactly. Diaz is so good on the ground. His jiu-jitsu is nasty. So even if Edwards gets him there, like, what's he gonna do? Like, and I don't think he's gonna be able to ground and pound him out. Like Masvidal, like literally, like beat the shit out of Diaz on the feet, and like the ref had to stop it, and Diaz was like still ready to go. And you're not gonna do that kind of damage on the ground. So I just don't see him getting a stoppage on the ground like that. He's definitely not going to get a submission. So when it ends up happening, either Leon Edwards wins like control on the ground, or like Diaz wins on the feet. I don't think Edwards can win on the feet. So that might be that dog, man. He might be an underdog play. Like I think he ends up being like plus 350 or something like that. So I might pop a little balloon on Diaz and see what happens, or at least do like a couple parlays. So but we'll see, man. And also, both them have had a lot of layoffs in their career. Leon Edwards has not lost in like 5 years or something like that, but he also hasn't really fought that much. He had a bunch of like canceled fights. That last fight where he went against what was his name, Muhammad or whatever, am I thinking of the right dude? The last fight he had like a couple months ago ended early. He looked good in that fight, don't get me wrong, but he had that nasty eye poke. He like poked the dude's eye out on accident. That was nasty. He was definitely dominating that fight, but like again, how much ring time does he have in the last like couple years? I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Diaz had a lot of layoffs and everything, but there's some real potential there for an upset. So, and it's weird too because I feel like Diaz called him out. So maybe he sees something in his game, or when he looks at that fight on paper, he thinks like, dude, I could beat this dude for sure. So we'll see what's up. I think Edwards on like a 9-fight win streak or 8-fight win streak. So That's a pretty big upset and good for Diaz. And then who's he fight after that? I don't know. I don't think there's a ton of people in the high rankings that he's going to beat. Like, no, not to downplay his skill level or anything, but I mean, let's be real. He's not exactly on his peak game. And there's so much tape on him. Everybody knows what he's going to do. Like, you can't really win that many fights in the UFC anymore, top level, just being tough. But at least, if he beats Edwards here, whatever fight he gets next, he's going to get paid for. So I got props for him. Hopefully he does, man. I think it'll be a good fight either way, though. I do like Leon Edwards. He's all right. And we'll see what happens with Vettori and Izzy. I'm looking forward to that, too. And still has not popped into my head what the other two dudes' names are. It's the second I get off here, I'll think of it. I keep wanting to say Munoz, but I know that's not it. And I can't believe I can't think of the champ's name. But whatever, you guys know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, humble for sure, dude. Yeah, I mean, Masvidal is like the new Conor, man. You either love him or hate him. Like, I always like Conor McGregor. But let's be real, he's putting on a show. Once the fame went to his head, he turned into a douchebag, had some, like, shit. But, I mean, I think for a lot of people, especially fighters who, like, grind and have nothing for, like, their whole lives and they're poor as shit, once you get that, like, that big money, like, once you fight Floyd Mayweather and make, like, $30 million and, like, you basically are, like, richer than any man needs to ever be. Like, let's be real. Like, it goes to a lot of people's heads, I think. And I think that's exactly what happened to Conor. But I loved his attitude. Like, he was a total showman. Like, my one buddy hated him. Like, one of my best friends hated him always. And I said, look, love him or hate him, dude, you still want to see all his fights because you want to see him lose just as bad as I want to see him fight. And I'm a fan. So you're still a fan. You're just a fan of him losing. And he's like, that's a good point, man. That's a good point. And, I think Masvidal has that same thing. Like, he figured out the recipe to success. It's like, and one thing I love about Masvidal, too, is he doesn't even have to win fights and he's still entertaining. Like, he has a good attitude. He's funny. He doesn't give a fuck, dude. Like, when he pieced up Edwards in the back, Leon Edwards in backstage, like, that two-piece in a soda shirts, like, I mean, that shit was hilarious. Or was it two-piece in a soda or three-piece in a soda? Whatever. It's hilarious, man. He cracks me up. So I love it. He's a showman. He's a badass too. Like, back to like the Kimbo Slice, like, backyard fights and everything. So, I'm happy for people who get paid. Like, I'm not jealous like that. I'm not a hater. I want everybody to make money. There's plenty of money, and life is not a zero-sum game. It's not like in order for me to be successful, other people have to fail. It's the opposite. If I'm successful and I can help other people be successful, it reciprocates back to me exponentially the same way that other people have helped me along the way in my success. Because to tell you the truth, the majority of my knowledge in anything comes from other men's great works, typically in the form of books or whatever, like, college courses, even YouTube videos. You can learn so much from other people if they're willing to share it, whether it's free, whether they pay, etc. But the fact of the matter is like, the smartest people, the people who are best at things, they learn from other people. So, the idea of sharing that knowledge when you become good at something with other people, it's not a zero-sum game. Everybody thinks everything's like zero-sum game. It's not. It's totally the opposite. I think success breeds success. So, the more you succeed, you bring the other people up around you. They bring you up in different areas. Your wife, your kids, your family, your friends. Success breeds more success. Positive energy breeds more positive energy. And that's why social media sucks. Because I think there's so little positive energy. It's like all negative, and it's everybody just like shitting on everybody. And then next thing you know, you got a shitty attitude too, and you're shitting on somebody, and you're like, damn, who am I? That's not me. So, but yeah, we'll wrap it up there, guys. Definitely fun cutting up a little bit about the fights and everything at the end. Everybody have a good night. That's why you're a mad dog, and we appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate all you guys too, man. You guys are like full of positive energy, and like it's the same thing, dude. You guys reciprocate all that positive energy to me, and then I'm more positive. Makes me want to get on here, makes me want to cut up and get to know you guys and like, talk shop, whatever, etc. So hell yeah, good to see you, New Pathway. Amen to you too, brother. Everybody have a good night. Appreciate everybody tuning in. If you're watching this later on, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe if you're not already, etc., all that good stuff. And everybody have a good weekend. And I will see you all on Sunday for our live stream. So, all right, Crypto Trend Trader, and I'm out of here.